Howdy ho! We are here for our weekly romance oracle and tarot message. Hope you're doing well. Update on the ongoing saga of setting up my Substack. So I just kind of had come to a piece that I was going to settle in to like going down a rabbit hole today of just doing the best I could to find YouTube tutorials to explain like the cluster F that is setting one up. So I happened upon like the perfect teacher yesterday or day before yesterday, who just had like run into this weird problem, and he happened to do a video on this thing, and he kind of live played it out and had unexpected things coming up in the video. And like, it just, the video answered every question I had. Never happens. So like, oh my God. So I kind of pinned him in my queue kind of thing, and was like, I'll go back to his channel and look for follow-up videos on that train of thought. And there was a second video, and that answered all the other questions. So I had made peace with whatever it was going to take to just get that process underway and really understand what I was doing and how I was setting things up and make sure I was doing right. And then made peace with the fact that it might take a lot of really annoying videos, and the creator let me find the one. So that is a like physical materialized example of last night's and like the last several nights sort of overarching thesis of, if you let go and trust, then that allows for flow. It opens the vessel. We said if it's not an issue, it won't be an issue, kind of thing. And so I think just when we're at peace with something, inner peace, when we make our peace with something and accept that this is where we're at, this is what we've got, this is what we're working with. It's not a complacent, but it's a proactive acceptance. This is what we're working with. And so kind of made my peace with it, decided to settle in, make it comfy, and then boom, one video answered all the questions. So I'm excited. So I'm doing our daily video now. I'm gonna go on my walk, and I'm gonna come home, and that's gonna be like my biggest project over this evening, just to take advantage of the growing, waxing Scorpio full moon energy. We're really transforming whatever like house that you have that's in Scorpio, that is under the greatest transformation of like looking at it honestly and making necessary adjustments and changes. So, oh my gosh, I had an inclination that this card was going to come up. Partnership. I saw it in my mind. Look, it matches my shirt. It literally blends in to like, I knew this card was going to come up, and it was up. We got it last week. So something in our lives is shifting and setting us up for an aligned partnership. Well, I like it. Okay, let's see. Let's see what's going on. All right, the hawk. I've noticed hawks in my neighborhood this week. I've taken note of them. Omens, messages. So pay attention. Okay, I love that, because even just all of the little, like, in every little way this week, I've just been willing to face the discomfort of a difficulty or a challenge and take whatever necessary step I think I need to take, even if it's just one step at a time. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't look too far ahead. Just handle what's in front of you and don't think about anything else. And so by doing that, by having that willingness to just take the step and keep a positive, proactive momentum going in a grounded way, it has helped me alleviate the anxiety, alleviate the dread, and also open up step-by-step help. We had the camel boy earlier in the week, and that's about like asking for help and taking small steps. So we have part of our help that we're receiving is coming from the higher realms that want us to keep going. They're invested in our story. So omens and messages, watch out for these things and take heed. Something about that man's video grabbed my energy, grabbed my attention, and he was the best teacher ever. was great. Ooh, disruption. Again, whatever house Scorpio is in for you, it's all about disruption, and the more proactive you can be about it and doing it by choice, the better. Because we really want to have major transformation, because we're going into a radically new cycle, and we don't want to keep going in to these new cycles as the same person, repeating the same patterns, living with the same perspective, living the same experience out, living the same tests and lessons and cycles again and again and again. So we're disrupting them. When we observe them, when we're triggered and aggravated, that's a blessing, because we're allowed to see what is sort of driving the ship and what's underneath all of the subconscious reflexive consciousness and behaviors and patterns and programming. And when we see it, when we can observe it, we can choose to pause and disrupt the pattern, disrupt that program from playing out. Pause, like run a cleanse on the hard drive so that the virus doesn't infect the whole system, right? So we're disrupting the patterns of our past. And so think about this in romantic terms. What are the past patterns that were the overarching themes of your story arc and past relationships that led to your ultimate demise? We want to disrupt those. They probably had common threads. None of us are completely innocent in a relationship. Definitely takes two to tango. And so we attract certain people into our lives because they reflect something in us that needs to be awakened or shown to us or corrected or something. So just looking back on what it was that brought them or allowed them or invited them into your life, or what kept them there, or what you learned while you were navigating relationship together. So thinking about the patterns that you were on your side of the street, though, because that's really what we're here to work on, not trying to wish that other people would change. That's doesn't really do anything for us. So we're just trying to curate the life that we hopefully want to live and the person that we want to be. So I don't want to play out those patterns again. So in order to really see them, I've got to be honest about it. So what am I doing every time that's the same? Or what pitfalls or traps am I playing into over and over and over again? Why do I think that is? How can I disrupt that and do something differently this time around? The swan, oh my goodness, transformation, trusting the psychic gifts. So taking the time to do that is a prophetic act of having foresight and awareness and hindsight and integrating wisdom and knowledge and understanding into your, the way that you move forward and move through and start new things, in the way that you approach life. Okay, let's get more insight on partnership. Woo, what do we have? Ooh, manifest. So getting clear on what it is that we are ready to call in, and the attributes of what we would like in a partner, what would be good, what would be the things that we would want to have in common and be compatible. And being clear on what are the differences between our preferences versus deal breakers versus non-negotiables, right? And then as we get clear on those things, be really confident that that's possible, and be joyous and, kind of using your words to start calling that in. But I love this. We're manifesting partnerships. So watch out for the signs. Hawk. Strengthening bonds. Oh my goodness. So I believe that the red are pentacles because the purple are wands in this deck. So this is Ace of Pentacles. We've had that this week. So we're planting seeds for a new cycle. I'm excited. So watch for the signs and follow those. See? Okay, look, I'm literally about to do this. I'm about to go out in the woods and walk a path that kind of looks like this. And I'm going to be all like this, queen of the forest, and then I'm gonna have hawks flying above me, right? And sometimes the other day I saw this, like I was walking down the path and there was this enormous owl that kept flying around and kind of like, you know, kind of keeping me company along the way. So I definitely pay attention to those things, and I go back and look them up, or take note of the impressions that I'm getting, or maybe what I was thinking about, the train of thought that I might have been on when I saw the thing. All right, disruption. Ooh, sadness and isolation. 3 of Swords. So let's get out of that like funk, out of that depression. My teacher, one of my teachers, David, I've talked about him before. He said, he was talking about something recently, and he was like, do you have, you know, he was just talking about checking in, like, what's your general vibe? What's your, you know, what are you putting out there? And he was like, do you have black hole poo-poo face? Just have like terrible energy, just like dark face, downtrodden, you know, sour. You know, do we have black hole poo-poo face, right? It's time to, you know, shake that off. We are halfway between spring and summer. Tomorrow's Beltane. So that's a festival of fire and vitality and desire and life force and fertility. So I'm going to try to, hopefully we have good weather. I want to burn a fire pit tomorrow, and, you know, just to be in an observation of that sort of window in time, and shift of seasonal energy. But what, like, are we obsessing over how our past relationships went? You know, do we believe that they can be different? Are we ready to like let go and just like leave that behind? You know, like when you're moving to a new house and you have like piles of just like, it's just the remainders of things that aren't relevant anymore. You don't need them, like old like cords, cables. They were useful at one point, and maybe you needed to hang on to them for a while, but there's really, like, you haven't used them in a long time, you know? It's like that Marie Kondo, like, does this give you joy? Have you picked it up in the last year? You know, this leaving thing, you know, collecting all of that psychic and emotional debris and letting it go, having a new clean space. Very, very exciting. And let's grab one for the swan. Let's take one for the swan. Okay, this is great. This is the Fool. We are starting new cycles, new paths, but we have to go out on that new cycle, being willing to sort of walk on the edge of risk and putting ourselves out there, but having a sense of believing and trust, right? We have to trust kind of life like a newborn, you know, that has no other choice but to trust that God will look after it. And so we have to be wise. We can't get in, you know, over our head or trust people too quickly. But we have to trust life and start to open up, and trust our instincts too. That when we have like, you know, an instinct that someone's on a match, or maybe they're even bad vibe, right? We know we can follow it, and we know that the universe will send us signs and messages because we're paying attention, right? So we're wanting to disrupt our, you know, the old patterns and things that brought us heartache, and disrupt our consciousness when we go into the soap opera of thinking about yesteryears and yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. So we're moving on, we're transforming now, and we're going on a new path, and we're a new person. And so we're ready to open ourselves up to see what life has to offer next. Yay! She's very Shrek. She's giving Shrek. I feel that. All right, so I'm excited. This is a really nice reading. There's a lot of movement and new seasons coming in this reading. And if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of what we were getting at in last night's reading too, about changing into a new season and a new cycle, which is good. Very good. All right, you all. Peace. Ciao.